5:30, I'd like to call a meeting to order.
Folks?
I'd like to call a meeting to order at 5:30. So, any agenda changes or additions?
Yes, please, just one, if you would, add under new business, accept resignation, your town administrator.
Okay, let's move to approve the minutes of April 3rd, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 3rd, 2023.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any changes, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved. Approved minutes of April 4th, 2023. Have a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from April 4th, 2023.
And a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah. I thought I definitely opposed going into executive session for the board appointments, but I thought I had voted yes on all the motions. There has me voting no on the first portion of the executive session motion, but yes on the second. Does anyone recall that differently?
I know the no was first, but I don't remember.
I know I spoke against it during discussion, but I thought when the motion itself was called, I voted yes. I could be wrong. Does anyone else have a different recollection on that?
That's my recollection too, Travis.
No,
That I
my
voted yes.
recollection.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
I definitely, we had the discussion on the motion, and I did speak against it, but I do believe I voted yes when
Okay.
when
That's
the
my
time came.
You made
recollection.
that-
We'll change that.
You made that discussion comment.
Yeah.
All right.
Didn't vote that way.
That's my only comment on those
All right.
minutes.
So that'll be changed to the minutes. Okay. Jamie?
James Brewster, I mean, if you look at what is in your packet, as well as the draft minutes that are on the website, there is a difference between the two. I think the one for the 4th only references the statement that I made and references it as an attachment, which I don't believe you have in your packet. It at least was not what was available. So there is a difference between the two. And I guess if you're approving the one that is before you that only references my attachment, I'd like to know where that attachment is and how it will be, it's just not there. And so I think that reference, or excuse me, that attachment should be somewhere online. And that, I guess what you're looking at here is not the same as what's online.
Yeah.
And I can fix, I'll answer that if you don't mind, Judy.
Sure.
I can fix that, Jamie, I had fixed it, and I don't
You
know
did,
why.
you did,
And I don't know
and-
why it didn't stick.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is what you
Yeah.
have on the website is perfectly fine, but what they're approving this evening
Yeah,
is
wasn't
not
on
what
there.
you put
Yeah.
up there, and what they're approving this evening references an attachment that they don't have.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it didn't stick there, but thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It might just be me with the civic clerk not getting it in correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before we do anything, Green Mountain has their hand up, maybe?
I think it was just
Oh,
the
it's her
mouse.
cursor.
Oh, that was the cursor. Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yep.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for.
All those in favor, I think we've done it, motions and seconds, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, okay, and we've got the correction and the addition. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And, Chris, you're probably abstaining then, I'm assuming,
Well, I wasn't here.
right?
So
So he would be abstaining from all of the votes so far. Next would be approve the minutes from April 6, 2023.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from April 6th, 2023.
I'll second.
And a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, one abstention. And then not last yet, April 19th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 19th, 2023.
Thank you. And a second?
there's a couple of spelling errors in the minutes. I think.
Second.
Pardon?
Do a second.
I'll second. then
Okay,
do
good.
Discussion, yeah.
Go ahead.
So, in discussion, there's a couple spelling errors. Paula's last name is on the second page, bottom paragraph. Paula's last name is spelled incorrectly. There's a couple of misspellings of my last name, not that it really matters, but if they're official documents. And on that same page, same paragraph, on the third page, first paragraph at the bottom. But other than that, it looked fine.
Yeah, as I look, I think we have Anna McCormick's name spelled wrong too, at the top of the last page of those names.
Yep.
Did you get those, Judy?
No, but I'll catch up with Carson. I think I know what he's talking about.
And the one, Anna's name too?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. And April 27th.
I'll make a
Minutes.
motion to accept the minutes from April 27, 2023.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, we've got those done. Discuss Walton Bridge Road, and want to let the public know that we have a packet in front of us. We're just seeing for the first time tonight about the bids. So, should we just call Tyler up?
Please do, yes.
Hi, everybody. So
Could you introduce yourself again?
absolutely.
Sorry.
Tyler Mumley with Mumley Engineering,
Thank you.
working as a consultant for the town for the Walton Road Bridge restoration project. This is the Kenfield Brook Bridge, just where it splits off between Walton Road and Coal Hill Road. So we've discussed this bridge a few times, and we came to a conclusion, I don't know how many meetings ago, that we were going to put it out for bid, and based on not a full reconstruction, but more of a restoration. And so we did so, revised the bid documents, get those out with revised plans, and we received back 2 qualified bids. Originally, we had invited 8 bidders. Another bidder came on from, we had public announcements, and it was, put out there publicly that there was a bid. A few of them said no thanks, kind of out of their realm of expertise, and 2 or 3 of the bidders were just too busy for this summer already. So we ended up getting 2 bids back from Blow and Cody and from Walker Construction. The result was that Blow and Cody put a bid in of $513,934, and Walker Construction put a bid of $757,663.
Is that the other way around? In my packet?
No, Blow and Cody was lower at $513, and Walker was at $757.
Okay.
Seems like a significant difference.
Yeah, the major difference is in the cleaning and greasing of the girders. There's actually some discussion about that at a pre-bid meeting on site. The timeline to get that lined up and completed would have been a critical factor in getting it done this summer. So we did agree that it is something that could be done at a later date. So it could be that, Blow and Cody found somebody that could do it cheaper later, or Walker found somebody else. So that would be a subcontracting job. They would find somebody to come in, scrape the girders, get them clean, not like a full, not a full blasting, just enough to get them kind of smoothish, and then instead of painting the girders, they're going to grease them, which is a method that's not new, but it's being used more commonly with restoration projects, just because it can be done quicker and easier and cheaper. So I haven't talked directly to Blow and Cody or Walker since their bids came in, but I had been in kind of communication with them ahead of time. So I do think these bids are what they are. Besides the greasing, which is line item A4. Besides that, they're pretty comparative. Just that Walker had higher prices. So even if you made that apples to apples, that one line item, Walker is still hire. They, appreciate both of them bidding the project. Blow and Cody has a lot of experience with bridges. They've been involved with this project since the get-go. Walker is kind of more of a site company, but they do know how to also do bridges. But I think that Blow and Cody coming at this price is a good thing, and would recommend them. We are aware that there's two things to be aware of. One is, as we discussed at the last meeting, we talked about this project, that we are still waiting on EHB engineers to complete their full, essentially, design analysis to confirm that what is there now is going to support the proposed project. It's a highly likely assumption that the answer is going to be yes, everything's fine. But at the recommendation of those engineers, we proceeded with this, the analysis that they're working on. So we wouldn't want to sign the contract with Blow and Cody until that comes in. So we just want to make sure, because on the slim chance that analysis, returns something that is unforeseen, and we'd have to take care of it prior to signing the contract with Blow and Cody. They are aware of that. They came up with the pre-bid meeting. So is Walker is also aware of that. So they're going to be waiting until we get that report back from DHB, which we expect to get by the end of the month. So that kind of works with the timeline as far as construction goes. So the other thing to be aware of is that we know that this is a restoration project, and so when you open up concrete, take asphalt away, you sometimes find things that you didn't know were there. So we're happy the price came in where it did, because there is a chance that there might be some change orders once we start digging away and pulling things apart. So, but again, I think Blow and Cody, they're a local company, a lot of experience, so I think that's a good thing, and they'll be able to handle it.
And both contractors think they can get this done this summer?
That's correct.
And how long will that bridge be out? It does get a lot of traffic. I'm just kind of...
Yeah, the contract is for 120 days, no later than the end of September. So we have to agree upon the start date, but there's a possibility that that bridge could be out for 4 months. The hope is that it doesn't take that long. I think a lot of it is going to be dependent on the cleaning and greasing.
So is our start date contingent on the information we're waiting from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Ideally, we'll have a contract ready to be signed. The minute that report comes in and everything looks okay, then we can have it signed and they can start construction and start prepping.
Well, the minimal amount of delay we have, is that going to affect the bids? Because they can't start right away, because we're waiting for that report to come in.
Affect the bids as far as the price goes?
Right.
That's not on the table currently.
So that it's set.
The bid's set.
Okay.
Based on the bid documents, which is based on that schedule. So it could be that that report can come back for 2 more months, right? If there's some delay, then that could affect it. Their bids are good for 30 days, so the timing works out.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, I think.
I guess just going back to my other question, my previous question, I hope I don't jinx this by saying this, but because that bridge does get quite a bit of traffic, I know I don't think the Rooney's milk truck goes that way, but
It does go that way, but it has the
right.
ability to go back.
But if it should go beyond the 120 days,
there is a potential clause that we could impose, some fees or penalties. We haven't taken that action before, but it is something that we could consider in the contract and do that. Typically, contractors will come back with a request for bonuses in the opposite direction.
all right.
Oh.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
But maybe before that happens, if you guys decide to go with Blow and Cody, we're gonna the next step here is a conversation with them to say, hey, you've been awarded the project. Let's talk about the project, and we could try to nail down a real serious schedule, and see what they really think it is going to be exactly. Now that they can actually put their teeth into it. And if they think, yeah, no problem, 120 days, no problem, maybe that's the insurance for us to feel comfortable with it. But if they're scared about the timeline and they're concerned, then we can maybe give it some consideration, about, again, bonuses versus penalties.
And just to remind everyone, last year at town meeting, the voters did agree to put $500,000 towards this bridge, is that correct?
510, yes.
510, so this bid is covered. Blow and Cody's bid is basically covered.
Along with the grant that I wrote for AOT, the structures grant, they awarded us $200,000. So if there are change orders, we have that. We also have money in our bridge fund. So we're, I was happy to see the bids come in where they were. I think the consideration on timeline, and we can have that discussion with whoever you award the bid to, but there's a lot of unknowns with our bridge. This bridge has been in place, that bridge, the one on Cody Hill, the base of Cody Hill, and the one on down closer to the bypass, Kentfield Brook Crossing, that needs a new deck. All three of those bridges were replaced after, I believe, either the flood of 27 or the hurricane of 38. I don't remember which one it was, but they all went in about the same time. So their life expectancies are similar. So not knowing what they don't know, it's going to be hard for them to say, yeah, we can come in at 4 months. So I just want to be realistic about what we're holding, how we're holding the feet to the fire on this, because paying bonuses for early completion can cost a lot of money too. So.
You're looking for a motion tonight?
My recommendation would be that you approve Low and Cody for the work dependent on the full analysis coming back from VHB. And so you'd have a contract written up. We already have the template. The contract template's already part of the bid docs, so we would just formalize it. Have it be ready for signature pending that VHB analysis.
I would so move.
Just what he said.
Just what he said. Couldn't say it better.
So motion for that, do you want to put that into your motion?
Sure. We'll move to accept the Blow and Cody bid on the Walton Road Bridge restoration for the contract price offered on the bid of $513,934, contingent upon getting the final analysis on the bridge.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, motion is passed. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, discuss adopting select board rules of procedure. So, I know, Travis, you had several suggestions.
Me too. I don't know what the best way to go about reading all those is.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there any reason why we don't just adopt Robert's rules?
I think part of this is Robert's rules,
Right,
but I
but
think it's also gives a little more detail to it.
Okay. I mean, we run our town meetings by Robert's rules and
Right.
special meetings by Robert's rules. I was just curious what the motivation or procedural piece was to do something different.
I think it's also to have things in writing, because we haven't had anything in writing before.
Okay.
It's a little more structure to the meetings.
Okay. I just was curious.
Judy, I would say,
Excuse me.
just throwing out, this is a template given to us by VLCT.
I understand
So this is in play in other communities, so I just put that out there.
My thought was that we were just adding some clarifications to it.
Okay.
To this.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was my understanding of, not that we're changing it, but just clarifying. Was
Right, I think
how
Chris is
interpreted it.
Chris is asking kind of like,
Right.
why are we doing this and not just Robert's rules, right?
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead, Travis?
Sure. Do you want me to just sort of go line by line in terms of what I
No.
was proposing?
Yeah, like you said, like number 5.
Yeah.
Yes, starting there.
Sure. So the first change I suppose I would propose is under organization number 5. I was proposing to change it to read motions made by members. I should speak into the mic. Motions made by members of the public body do require a second. I then added any member of the board, including the chair of the body, may make motions and may vote on all questions before the body. A motion will only pass if it receives the vote of a majority of the total membership of the body. And then I added, in the event of a split vote, the motion will fail. My logic being there, I thought the way that it was written could be interpreted to mean that only the chair of the body may make motions, which certainly is not the intent. So I was just trying to clarify that. And then we did have questions around split votes, and I think this is sort of already indicated here with the existing language, but just trying to make it explicitly clear that a split vote is a failed vote. We did have the 4-person board. There was some confusion around what would happen there if we had a split vote. I think spelling it out could just prevent future confusion.
Yeah, and the only time that would happen is if
we were down a member.
Down 4 members, yeah.
Yeah, or if someone couldn't make a meeting.
And the only thing I would add to that, Travis, because I had a comment on this one too.
Yep.
And this came out of that VLCT conference that several of us went to, but that it also say, regardless of, motions to close or limit, a motion will only pass if it receives the votes of a majority of the total membership of the body, regardless of the presence of those members or not.
Yep.
So VLCT was very clear that we are a 5-member board. Mm-hmm. If 3 of us are present and 2 of us are not, it still has to be the majority of all 5 in order to pass a motion.
Yep.
2 out of 3 cannot do it.
Yeah, I like that.
So that should say that.
Yeah, I agree.
Just for clarification purposes, since that's really what this document is. It's just a matter of clarifying things.
Yeah. Trying to remove some of the gray.
That is Robert's rules, actually.
Yeah.
So it fits in there.
Yep. My next one, number 6, I think, again, I am just clarifying to what I found in Robert's rules, at least. I'm just going to read the new language I've proposed here. So I was proposing to change it to, there is no limit to the number of times a member of the body may speak to a question. A member may speak or make a motion after being recognized by the chair. Motions to close or limit debate will be entertained by a motion to call the question which requires a second. So it did say which does not require a second. I'm proposing to change that to which does require a second, which I believe is what Robert's rules indicates. And then I also indicated to succeed in calling the question, the motion must receive 2/3 vote of the board, which I believe is also Robert's rules.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know.
That is correct. I looked it up.
I did quite a bit of research and read like 5 or so articles on Robert's rules, and it does seem to require a 2/3 vote.
Yeah.
So you call a question, it has to be a second?
There has to be a second, and there has to be a 2/3 vote of the board to call the question. I believe that's what I was finding, at least.
Okay.
And that is my understanding as well.
Okay.
So we need 4 out of the 5 of us would have to vote.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. Under agendas, section 1, I added a line at the end of that says appeals on the decision of the chair may be made to the entire board and determined by a majority vote. Really just trying to prevent sort of the perception that one board member is solely responsible for setting the agenda, putting a process in place if somebody disagrees with the chair's decision on whether or not to put an item on the agenda, to have a way for them to go about that. I don't know what the rest of the board's thoughts are on that. That's not really a Robert's Rules thing. That was just sort of a personal preference on my part.
I think if the agenda's been set, then,
It would have to happen after the fact. They would have to appeal that for a future agenda.
a future agenda.
Correct.
Okay, I thought you meant that.
No, it would need to be for a future agenda. Just wondering what happens if a resident comes forward looking for something to be on the agenda, the chair says no. I think under this language proposed here, then that would be that.
Or if one of us comes into a meeting and wants to put something on the agenda.
Yeah.
It would have to be done, it needs to be the first action.
Yeah, but
It needs to be done under additions and deletions at the very beginning.
Yeah, or it could even be for a future, it could even be for a future
it'd have to
agenda.
be because I think it's open meeting laws. The meeting, the
I think we can
agenda is
add
set.
I think we can delete or move things. I don't think we can add things.
Correct.
And it would have to be warned, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, if I email the chair, today asking for an item on the May 15th agenda and the chair says no, I have no other grounds under this policy language to sort of appeal that. That was my thought process. So I'll leave it out there. I'll keep going. Agendas number 2, I just added Front Porch Forum as one of the posting mechanisms because I believe we did agree to that, so I put it into the policy.
I'd like it to be written as a link, and that's just not necessarily a, sometimes the agenda, instead of posting the agenda, the link to the agenda could be there.
I believe we voted to put the body of the agenda in the Front Porch Forum post.
So I know we've had our.
We did.
We've had our agenda messed with on Front Porch Forum. Someone has taken the agenda and rewritten it and reposted on Front Porch Forum.
Okay.
So add stuff to our agenda. So that's a cautionary information.
I do believe we voted, though, to put the body of the agenda in the Front Porch Forum post.
Okay.
I think we changed that at one of my
Alright.
first meetings.
Yeah, Travis, you're right. That was that meeting where we had several tie votes, and
Yep.
this guy had to break some tie votes. I do remember that pretty clearly.
Yep.
I think he's right.
I too went to the recent gathering of VCLT, and they actually mentioned being careful about Front Page Forum and that it's in other member-only venues, advertising that we have to be careful about using any member-only. I mean, we use a wide variety, but that might also go to that argument that we want to
Yeah, we certainly would
really
want to.
drive everybody to one.
We certainly would
source.
not want to exclusively use Front Porch Forum.
Right, yeah. But that might be an argument as to having one major source, but, it does get into internet and who has access to what, I think.
Yeah. My next proposed change was page 3 under definitions, under number 7, the general rules of debate. I added a bullet point that says all debate must remain civil and all viewpoints shall be treated with respect. And I think, oh no, I do have more. Oh, let's see here. Sorry, my document's a little wonky here. Under public participation, number 2, I proposed to increase 10 minutes to 20 minutes, just thinking 10 minutes is really not a huge chunk of time. I know the board, as it says here, can increase that time, but I thought 20 minutes was a more reasonable starting threshold. Again, just my thoughts.
I would like to keep it at 10, and then we can always increase it.
Number 4, under that same section, I just added that members of the public must introduce themselves prior to speaking. That's our practice currently, but just trying to spell everything out in the policy here. And then number 5, so throughout the document, I changed he or she to they or their, just trying to use gender neutral pronouns. So that's a change I proposed here as well. Number 5, I also added a line that says members of the public shall be afforded the maximum of 2 minutes each time they speak on a topic, sort of going in line with what we've done at the informational meetings. Just trying to lay some parameters there. And then I guess my last question was the very last bullet point under number 7 says, order the constable to remove disorderly persons from the meeting. And my question is just, who's our constable?
Brian Tomlinson.
Okay.
Do we have while we're on this, do we have a second if that officer's not available?
The statute speaks to the constable's duties being a part of that is removing unruly people. I think the board has the ability to insert Morristown Police in this event, into that as well, constable and or Morristown Police. Such that we're covered by statute, and the reality of the situation is the constable probably wouldn't be able to notice it.
That would work for me if we added and or the Morristown Police.
Is everybody else okay with that?
Okay. So I just read off a lot of stuff, I guess. Where's everyone else at? And did anyone else have any other proposed changes?
Chris or Don?
You covered mine. I didn't have quite as many as you did, but you covered mine. Except under meetings number 2, special meetings shall be publicly announced at least 24 hours in advance by giving notice to all members of the body, unless previously waived, to an editor, a publisher, and a news director. And I know we probably do that on a pretty regular basis with News and Citizen. And then it says, or the radio station. It just raised the question, do we commonly put something through the radio?
We've done,
That's more of an issue.
Not a standard practice. It depends on the situation in some cases. So you could change the language from or to something that's more optional.
Yeah, I'm just curious more than wanting to change anything, but we have done it then.
Who do we consider our local radio station?
LDB.
I don't think we need to do that. I think we have our bases covered
I think
in a
so.
lot of different places. I was just
I
wondering if it also went out there.
Chris, did you have anything?
No, I agree with the proposed changes.
Laura?
I'm good with the changes we've discussed.
Okay.
I think the only change that maybe had some question was the 10 minutes to 20 minutes. I know Judy would like to leave it at 10. Did the rest of the board have thoughts on that one? I think that was the only one I heard any controversy on.
I think it's fluid. We've had plenty of evenings here that have gone way beyond the 10-minute mark. I think if you pick a number, any number, and know that it's fluid, so the public who wants to speak gets a chance to speak.
Yep.
I think the number itself is irrelevant.
Okay, works for me.
I would like to keep 10 just so that if we have really long meetings and just so that people think about a more concise, consolidated statements, but I agree, fluid is definitely what it should be.
I mean, the mantra is we don't need to be eternal to be memorable.
Yep.
But our role here, at least my perspective is that we sit here as long as the conversation is constructive and purposeful, so.
Yep.
Jamie?
Okay.
I'd just like to say, first, Travis, that was a lot of work put in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep.
I'd like to go back. Oh, didn't I say James Brewster? Sorry about that. I'd like to go back to what Chris said about Robert's rules. And as a member of the public, I would prefer to see this body and all the bodies in the town, be it planning council, DRB, planning, whatever, you folks, town meeting, all have the same rules. Robert's rules is tried, true, and tested. And as a member of the public, it's easy to go and look up online and reference and educate yourself on that. I don't see why there's a need to what appears to be reinventing the wheel. I know VLCT is just trying to help, but I'd like to see us stick with or go with Robert's rules. Thanks.
Tony Cody Hill. So Judy, I asked you before about editing. There's so many times that you are rude, inconsiderate, and unprofessional. And I want to know where we're going to be with that. And how we can fix it.
I don't have any answers for you, Tony, I'm sorry.
There is language in the proposed policy around civility and respect. There is language in this proposed policy around civility and respect. And
Are you going to consider like Robert rules?
Tom, if you'd like to speak, come up to the microphone, please. And introduce, thank you.
Marshall, are you going to consider the Robert rules, or are you just not going to consider?
I guess I very much thought this policy sort of mirrored Robert's rules, and
Yes.
my proposed changes here were primarily on things that I thought differed from Robert's rules to change it back to reference Robert's rules.
All right, then I want to be assured that the agenda going in the front page forum is not just the link, it's the whole agenda.
We voted to it. We voted on that, so I think we would have to vote again to change that.
Yeah, okay, good. And I'd like to make another change then on the meetings, on special meetings, that front page forum, we included on that too. Why not? I mean, you got it 24 hours in advance. On special meetings, include front page forum along with all the other areas that you're posting on.
Yeah, honestly, I had that same thought, Tom. The only reason I didn't propose that is because I was thinking the timing might just not work. If we're warning the meeting at, say, 5 o'clock on Wednesday for 5 o'clock on Thursday, we might not be able to get it out in a front porch forum
If you
until.
don't try.
Well, we don't have control over they don't have a schedule of when they release. I appreciate what you're saying. I just know I've posted stuff and it doesn't come out till the next day, which could be confusing.
What's the harm if it's not, you know, if it's late?
I think we could say, if possible, include on Front Porch Forum. I would hate to hold us to that if it's not going to be practical with the Front Porch Forum publishing deadlines.
Yeah, my only concern is if it comes out late, it confuses people to think that it's that night.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my only concern is if you don't read the dates close enough, you post it after the fact, it confuses people. The 24-hour notice is, again, I've posted stuff and it, you know, if you miss trying to get it, you never quite know when they're gonna, it's a tough.
Can I speak to that just real quick?
Sure.
I mean, we strive for consistency here.
Yeah.
So rather than Judy trying to determine whether, oh, that's right, a special meeting, we don't do this, we do this, we're really going to be consistent with the board at their beginning meeting in March. Chose to use Front Porch Forum and its full content. I think we should continue with that just for the consistency piece.
Yeah, shouldn't have to think about it. Okay.
One other addition I would like to make too, and the purpose of the board, I'd like to include is to say at such meetings, these, of course, the public must be afforded reasonable opportunity to give its opinion on matters considered by the select board as long as order is maintained. That takes care of a lot of things as far as timing or anything else. As long as order is maintained, you let people speak. The select board, this is my thinking there, select board meets twice a month. That's long meetings are 3 hours. So we got 6 hours total a month for you folks to meet face to face with the public. And cutting us 2 minutes or 10 minutes or even 20 minutes for 6 hours a month, giving us 20 minutes for a month is crazy. Any time to time us, it seems inappropriate. You got 6 hours a month to talk to us and have us speak our minds.
Well, Tom,
what's the timing of it?
I think
maybe it goes 3 hours long.
Well, I think you heard me at least say that, you know, part of our mission here as Select Board is that there's a timeline in this rules of procedure, but as long as the public is here and has something to say that's constructive and purposeful, you know, that's why we're here. We're here to listen to concerns. You know, I think the only thing that happens in some meetings is that if the conversations gets repetitive, then we need to move on. But I think that, you know, one person, one voice, we're here to listen to public concerns.
I appreciate that, Chris. You're fairly new.
It doesn't
It
matter.
hasn't always been that way on this board.
Right, but we're talking today moving forward.
Yeah, I
Tom.
know, that's why I wanted to include it in there, that if people want something to say, they're not cut off.
And I-
Chris, there was 3 people that were told to sit down last week.
See, that's what I'm saying. You get to the point where, well, you know, it's getting late now, that cut off the talk. I'm saying that just let the people talk. I know sometimes that what we say is not very pleasant, but it's what we think, and it's you folks have to listen to what we think. You don't have to do anything about it, but give us the opportunity to say it. That's all I'm making the point there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking the same language here, Tom, you know, in terms of the rules of procedure, and appreciate it.
Okay.
Tom, can I clarify? I have a question for Tom, if I could, please.
Yep.
Sure. Tom, you and I had some discussion, we had more of a special meeting last month, and you had asked why the agenda did not include select board concerns, TA report, and community concerns.
Correct.
Is that what you're referencing in some part tonight?
No,
Okay,
not at all.
okay,
No.
okay, thanks. I just want to make sure.
But thank you for bringing it up, folks. And now, it says here in your purpose, I almost got that slide.
Well, gosh, I'm glad I'm here for you, Tom.
It says here that the agenda is to be given to the town administrator to request inclusion on the agenda. is that including us? We are supposed, if we have something that we want on the agenda, give it to you, or do we give it, what it says here is to give it to you?
That's a good question, a good point of clarification, because there had been some confusion.
I
And
guess so,
I
because it's been a month and I still haven't seen my thing on here.
You will. It's on for the 15th, I believe.
It's on there, yeah, for a future meeting.
It's on for a future one.
Yeah. So, my point had been, the town administrator conducts the business of the day. And when we have our twice monthly meetings, it is about conducting the business of the town as things have come up during my in between meetings. But when a member of the community comes in and says, well, I want to get on the agenda because I want to talk about all dogs should have red collars instead of green. I'm making light, but not joking about it, in that I've had some pretty outlandish requests to get onto the agenda. And there are some cases when I can take an action between meetings that resolves the issue and there is no need to bring it to an agenda item here. So I had asked Tom with his most recent request, if he would please contact a board member. I will bring to the agenda those business items that I attend to during the month, and that if there are requests from the community to discuss something specific, that they should contact a board member, get the board member to talk to them about it, and then if the board member brings it to the chair, then there's a discussion that brings it to the agenda. The board instructs me to put it on the agenda, and I put it there. Mm-hmm. But it puts the town administrator in a position of making a decision whether or not it's worthy or not for the agenda. And it's really not a fair position to be in, because the person requesting it, it's important. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be my determination, or the town administrator's determination, whether it's important or not. That was my concern.
Good, that clarifies that finally. My other question is, if I send a letter, which I have, to all the board members and to you, and don't get a return or any answer, how are you supposed to, is there something, a time limit that requires you to at least answer it to me, one way or the other? Or is, I'm still waiting for the answer on why my agenda was not, my request wasn't put on this agenda for this.
I mean, statutorily speaking, I don't think so.
So you can just ignore the letters?
That's certainly not my intent, and I think I'm pretty responsive to you, Tom.
Yes, you have. I know, but I still have not heard that letter that I sent, wondering why.
It's going to be on one of the June agendas.
Tom, it's not a matter of being ignored. It's a matter of when I get on there, Tom, and I realize somebody else has already put together a 500, 700 word response to your letter, and I read it, I'm thinking, okay, I don't need to continue this. So I just want you to realize we're reading them, but the fact that we're not necessarily all responding equally is...
My letter I'm talking about is why my request for this to be put on the agenda is not, why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
And what was the procedure, because maybe I was doing the procedure wrong. And I have not, now I'm getting the answer. Yeah. It would have been easier, I think, if you just email.
I would say too, when you send it to everybody, if it's an agenda, I know that we're all reading it, and so, sometimes I wait to see too. So, we don't, certainly not intentionally ignoring you, it's just that, trying to make sure that the right person gets an answer for you. I try to get back to you also.
I'm just talking all the time.
Yeah, and I don't think it's intentional, I'm speaking for myself.
Are you gonna sit down now?
Ed,
So Judy, just going back to...
wait, hold one second, Ed.
Just going back to rules of procedure here, which is what we're talking about, I'd like to suggest that as a very first bullet, that the following be said: the meetings of the Morristown Selectboard will be run by Robert's rules with the following specific clarifications.
So you're saying, where would you put that on the page one?
I put right at the very beginning that our meetings will be run by Robert's rules, and that what is in this document, what I'm trying to say is meant to be clarifications on
Yeah.
those rules.
I really like that, Don.
I think that's a good idea.
Do you got that? Do you want me to read that again? Or-
I'll listen to YouTube tomorrow. But I
Stated right up front, that's good.
I believe it was. Tell us who you are. I think, yes, thank you. Ed Lowenton, Morristown. I believe I heard 2 points of view regarding posting the agenda on front page forums. I can see reasons to do that or not do it, frankly. I believe you, Judy, suggested that someone might alter the board's post. So technically speaking, that's not possible, but it is it's entirely possible that someone would read the agenda and think they ought to post it themselves to amplify the message and get it wrong. So there could be errors in it. I have not seen anything close to an example where that was altered by anyone maliciously. Who knows, if the debate gets hot enough, I suppose that could happen. My feeling is that the board, if it's going to post the agenda, and probably it's a good idea, make sure to label it as the official board version. There's probably no way you can keep people from posting some description according to them about what they think the agenda is. I think the most important thing is to encourage accurate posting. You can't control that. But if you're going to post it, probably labeling it as the board's official warning of that.
Yep.
Or do something to distinguish it.
Could we, I'm getting a little off topic here, but could we start said front porch forum post with a notice of the official record of the Morristown Selectboard agenda can be found here on the website with a link, and then put it in the body below that?
How do you do it now, Judy?
I just copy it and post it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just say you're the queen of.
It's coming from
Of the select board
it's coming
office
from
or
a town staff approved front porch forum
It is
account.
coming from
Yeah,
my-
so I think
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
think it looks official.
I agree. Just a suggestion.
I would think
if
that we
there-
just continue the
Yeah.
protocol, and if it becomes an issue or gets abused in any way, then we look at a different format.
Works for me.
Okay, so do we need a motion for this?
I'd
like
like
we
to
have
see a
some-
clean copy of it before we
Okay.
make a motion
Yeah,
on
I
it.
think that's a
All
good idea.
We could adopt it at a future meeting, right? We could have it come back
Yeah.
with changes accepted. Yeah.
We talked about a lot of variables, so I'd like to see it.
Yep. I agree. Make sure we know and the public knows what we're voting on. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
James Brewster, just quick on what Don had said there about Robert's rules and then the clarification of what's before you. Is there a potential conflict there? And if one thing says, Robert's rule says one thing and what is before you says another, which one's going to take precedence? Which one are you going to follow? And does that need to be spelled out?
That's a good reason to wait on this 2 weeks and make sure that we're doing the right thing. It's a great question.
We could probably phrase it as we will follow Robert's rules with the exception of instances where this policy differs from Robert's rules, in which case the policy will take precedent.
Might that be a Jim Barlow question?
We're getting wordy, but I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like
Getting
state statutes
yeah.
are, what we follow, we can make it a little tighter, but we can't make them.
Really
Yeah.
what it's coming down to.
I don't think Robert's rules, however, is it a legally binding?
I don't think
No,
so.
so we could adopt our
Okay,
own.
it's just a, it's a feature.
Procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judy? Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Where am I going here?
Yeah. I think we do one or the other. I think that,
Okay.
we don't want to muddy the waters, we don't want to cross lines here. I think if the board is feeling that they want to have their own set of rules, then we clean this up and adopt it. Otherwise, we would adopt Robert's Rules of Order, but to blend them and do either or, I think sets up a bad precedent.
And these are following, I think these standards are following Robert's rules.
For the most part.
Yeah.
That's the intent. I think Jamie's question is
Yeah.
what if one of them isn't and it becomes a sort of contradictory instance that we're not aware of currently?
Well, and I also think Jamie's comment about making sure that the planning and DRB, that we're all following the same document, I think would be clear, so that we aren't confusing things.
These are the rules of the road for the board. It doesn't need to be that complicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evelyn Throne, Morristown. Sorry, just a short comment because I think we've gone on for a while on this one, but I haven't read Robert's rules for a while, but I did want to ask one question about it because I've noticed during meetings, and I've probably been somewhat guilty of it myself, being passionate about something and articulating something, I'll say, towards the board without being recognized first and being up here. That is not in Robert's rules, correct? You're supposed to be recognized before you speak.
Correct.
Yes, I would. It just would be very nice if I could remember to follow that, and everyone else. I think it's, if we want to go by the rules, those are the rules. So I'm going to try and hope everybody else does.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to let this sit for right now.
We'll come back
Get a
with a
clean copy.
Table it with a clean copy, yeah?
Yeah.
Do we need a motion to table it, or do we?
No, we're just, no.
Okay.
So it'll just come back
It'll be on the next agenda.
on the next agenda.
Okay.
Next agenda item?
So I'd like to read a letter, if I may, to the members of the board. Following many conversations with my wife and uncountable hours of contemplation, I am informing you of my decision to resign as the town administrator. My contract requires a 30-day notice to be provided. While that would indicate my departure would be the end of May, with your permission, I'm willing to stay until a replacement is named to fill the position. However, my intentions are to be done no later than June 30th, 2023, or at such time as my replacement is ready to step in, whichever comes first. My reasons for making the decision are personal. I do not intend to air them publicly. Much work remains to be done. I intend for my departure to be as seamless as possible. I look forward to assisting my replacement in getting started, and will gladly be a resource for them as needed. My intent when I stepped into this role was to create a work environment built on trust, mutual respect, open communication, and personal accountability. I couldn't have selected a better team to bring these concepts to. They embraced these concepts, practiced them, displayed them, and our workplace environment soared. The smiles that greeted the public were genuine, not forced, and laughter could be heard in the hallways. All of these are indicators of a productive workplace. The depth of knowledge in so many different positions of our general office building, within our emergency services and highway shops, department heads and their staff, is something everyone in our community should give thanks for. The quantity of work products being delivered is incredible. It has been and continues to be of the highest quality. We are blessed to have these professionals choosing to practice their given occupations here in Morristown to the benefit of our town and its residents. Respectfully, Eric Dodge.
I'd like to speak to that.
Please.
I spoke with Eric this afternoon after getting this letter of resignation from him. It pains me a great deal to hear those words because over the short period of time that I've been involved in municipal politics and learning curve, I can't think of a better mentor or a better person to be at the helm of this ship. And I won't vote for your resignation tonight because I just can't bring myself to do that. I'll abstain. It pains me to think that we are going to move forward in this community without you because I think you're a great gift to this community. You bring a lot to the table. I think there's a lot of members in this community that have no idea the effort, the knowledge, the institutional knowledge that you bring to this table every day and night. And I am certainly going to miss that. I respect your decision. I understand your decision. I'd like to say I disagree with it, but I can't. But I can't vote for it, Eric.
Thank you.
Judy, I was going to save my comments for select board concerns, mostly because I didn't really know what all I wanted to say. I only found out about this just a few minutes before the meeting tonight. I didn't have the opportunity to get on my computer at 3:30 or 4 this afternoon. I have to echo what Chris said. I've had the benefit of spending a lot of time with you, Eric, over the last year. You have taught me so much about this town that I didn't know, so much about these departments that I didn't know. You have, as Chris said, incredible institutional knowledge. I just hope the town realizes what an incredible resource they are losing. There is nobody, and I've said this to you already in the last month or two, there's nobody who cares about this town as much as Eric Dodge does. You are going to have a really hard time convincing me otherwise. I've been on so many discussions with Eric, difficult discussions, things that happen that he takes care of behind the scenes that nobody knows about, except for a select few that I guess have reason to know, that being us up here on the select board. I am really sad to see you go. I didn't know I didn't have to vote for it. That's an interesting thought.
Let's not.
But it's very troubling to me. I don't know how you're going to be replaced. You've been a police officer in this town for decades. You've lived in this county, I believe, pretty well all your life. Morrisville's a complicated place. We need somebody with Eric's knowledge. May not agree all the time, but that's okay. It really saddens me. It troubles me, it saddens me that we're at this point. But I do respect your decision. I guess that's all I have to say for now.
Can you take over?
Yeah.
Just the agenda.
Want me to take over the meeting? Any other comments from the board?
Well, I will comment. I've said many times, this is unprecedented times. I'm actually very sorry that these were your 2 years in this position. I think it's been incredibly stressful. I think we will get through it. We're on our way there, and I'm sorry that we'll be there to reap the rewards of getting there. But I do highly respect your position because you've spent a lot of years almost like before that. But I think I'm sorry I have not had a chance to work with you more. And I hope that you still will be a part of this town in some way, shape, or form, because you are a huge presence and truly loved in town, whether you feel it or not, you are. Again, I think a lot of what happens, as you know, in this position becomes personal, and it's not meant to be personal. Again, thank you, and I certainly wish you well and good health and speed. And
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
I'll go next. I don't know you very well, Eric. We've known each other for a couple of months here. What I can say is, upon joining the board, upon seeing sort of the other side of the table, I have gained a lot of respect for you. I do think you've done a really good job on this, and I'm sorry for a lot of work you've had to go through.
Thank you.
I don't have much more to say other than that. I am sorry to see you go. I was shocked. I also found out like an hour before the meeting. Checked my email before leaving work, and definitely was shocked and dismayed to see it. But I also understand and respect your decision. So
Thank you.
I'm sorry, and thank you for your service. And hopefully we can stay in touch. Still, I'd like to get to know you better.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Judy, any comments?
Cannot.
Well, I guess it's proper protocol that we entertain a motion as much as we don't want to.
I will make the motion because he has asked for it, that we accept his resignation.
Do we have a second?
I will regretfully second it for the reasons Laura has outlined. Eric has clearly given this substantial thought, and I don't want to go against his thoughts and request here, so I will second the motion.
Any further discussion? Jamie? Thank you for waiting, Jamie.
James Brewster, a tremendous loss. Huge. I've known Eric for almost 30 years. There isn't anybody finer. That's all there is to it. Tremendous loss.
Thank you, Jamie.
Any other comments? Yes. Please identify yourself.
Jerry Throne. Eric, I haven't known you very long. I've only lived in town for a year and a half. You've impressed me. I'm sorry to see you go. I don't suppose there's anything we can do to make you change your mind. But I wish there was.
Thank you.
Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it's Yvette Mason, and I live on Washington Avenue. I want to thank Eric for 20 plus years of dedication and hard work. And I worked on the select board with him for a couple of years, and I really enjoyed his humor and his intelligence and his compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette.
Thank you, Yvette.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
I'm up here because you need to know that your staff is really losing a huge leader.
This is Paula Beatty, by the way.
We've become a family. We become a clean heart because of Eric. It didn't exist prior to him. And it is extremely disheartening to me that it had to come to this point for him to feel the support and love and respect and admiration that you deserve, not just from your staff, the select board, and the community. You are incredible, and I will miss working with you.
Thank you, Paul.
I would second that motion.
Any other comments before we vote on this?
I mean, I want to echo what Paula said. I have never seen a leader get this much unanimous support from their staff. I worked in HR for 10 years or so now. I work for a lot of town managers, HR directors, CEOs, whatnot. I've never seen this level of unilateral support from staff, and I think that does really speak volumes, Eric. So thank you for that and for the culture you've helped build here.
Thank you.
Can somebody go get
I just need a tissue.
Laura, Travis, you ready?
Sorry.
Yes, I think so.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting the resignation of Eric Dodge as Morristown's town administrator? Say aye.
Regrettably, aye.
Yeah, again, I'll say aye, but only because Eric's asking us to.
Judy?
I can't vote.
Chris?
No.
Judy, are you abstaining?
Yes.
It's the hardest vote I've ever taken here. But I know it's in your heart because I talked to you before the meeting. You know I don't want to say this.
It's okay.
I will vote yay. Next. That would be 3 to 1 to 1, Judy. Old business, review the Class 4 road policy. Would you like to take that?
Yes, so, as indicated by the mistake in about the second paragraph where the word "stow" shows up, I think that might give you an idea where this came from. How I missed that, I'm not sure. I changed it in all the other places. The Class 4 roads and legal trails policy that exists in our current policy is anemic at best. It only outlines really that the town only has a responsibility by statute of maintaining the culverts. As development occurs, as change occurs, and as needs arise, there is a need for, in my opinion, has been a need for a standardized policy for improvements that are being requested to be made. And we have a couple in front of us right now. Bull Moose Road, as we know, the Rooneys have a pasture at the end of that that they need to harvest crops from. We have another one over off Ross Hill, which is off of Rontero, another Class 4 road in the Sterling area for a development of a residential site. And two very distinctively different uses, and both of them bring with them, I think, a need for contemplation on both, because I don't know that both of those needs would require the same level of construction or improvement to the road. So I looked at the Stowe Roads and Legal Trails policy. It really is, it is not onerous as the one that we received, which was really the one earlier from our attorney, which basically just said no to everything. This one just discusses many different aspects of Class 4 roads and their uses and what we would allow. I think it really is only asking for involvement by the town to hear out applicants that would want to make improvements to a Class 4 road. Just, it's not, we're not looking to put nose to everything. It is more or less to look, improvements are needed and necessary, and getting a highway superintendent involved and, to look at those improvements and make sure that if it's in here it speaks to logging exemption, if it's an agricultural exemption that you want to consider tonight, because we received a really nice email from Selena Rooney today, or I got it today anyway, then the wording can be similar in that the road is left as good or better than it was when they started the work. So again, it's the policy is really not restrictive in the sense of before there was you have to request to plow the driveway and so on and so forth. This one is less restrictive, but does give the town the ability to review any work or upgrade that's going to be made. So you've had this over the weekend to look at, and if there are any areas in there you'd like to change, or if this is where you would like to go as a starting point, we can refine it as we go.
So Eric, I guess I have a question. Maybe this is a question for Kevin. One of you can probably answer this, and then I have a suggestion, which you've already stated, but I'll restate it. But my question is, as this reads right now, Class 4 highways are not maintained by the town of Morristown to be passable on a year-round basis. The town maintains bridges and culverts. Now, certainly on Class 4 roads, it's my understanding that culverts, that we are responsible for that. Are we responsible for bridges as well on Class 4 roads?
I'd have to read the statute. Culverts is all I've ever been aware of, and I don't even think we have any bridges on a Class 4 road, but I could be absolutely wrong on that. I don't know for sure.
There was one I visited a couple of weeks ago that might need a bridge on Ron Terrell Road. I'm just kind of wondering. Beaver Meadow, there's also a bridge, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, excuse me.
So can I just, you're up next, I promise. So I just wanted to bring that up. Because I didn't know bridges was part of it. I just want to say before I lose the mic, Lee, and just say that I, for one, would like to see where it says exemptions for logging to include an agricultural exemption as well. It only makes sense for me, given where I live and what I see. I am not a farmer. I'm not using these Class 4 roads for farming, but boy, I see it all around me up in the Mud City area. And if the loggers can get in there easily and use these roads, our farmers ought to be able to do the same thing for sure. And I guess I, for one, would like to see that. Lee, it's all yours.
Well, I just wanted to say the bridge on the Mud City or Beaver Meadow Road was put in there by the snowmobilers.
Right.
And that was their primary way to get across, but it's not a town bridge.
Right.
Per se, you know.
Nor would it hold a full vehicle very well, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you put the mic for us? Thank you.
Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Parker Phillips from Stowe, but I own 50 acres up on Beaver Meadow behind the gate, and the understanding was that bridge actually supports a log truck because the town has logs up there.
That's right, they have.
And so I need to be able to get a log truck across there to maintain my current use.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I for one I do remember logging, going across that bridge. Yes, Selena.
Selena Rooney, Morrisville. I'd like to have added in here somewhere that that if select board permission is needed, that it would be timely. It's been almost 4 months since I asked permission, and I still have not received it. The other thing I'd like to point out is that the snowmobile clause on here, that would be illegal. Per 23 VSA section 3206, the only thing that the town can restrict for the snowmobile trails would be hours of operation. So they're allowed on any class 4 road that's not maintained by the town at any time. Another thing that I'd like to see on here is that we're able to maintain the roads as necessary in the future without having to ask permission. So like if there's a water bar that needs to be cleaned out or a washout or a tree down, I'd just like to not have to ask permission to do that. And then under the logging activities, the last sentence on there, the end of it is to restore the road or trail to an acceptable condition. I think that should say pre-existing condition. So that any damage is done logging or farming, that it's fixed to the pre-existing condition. Thanks.
Jamie. Actually, anybody else? You're. Oh.
It's a fellow back there.
Have you already spoken on this?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
James Brewster. I think in a document like this, it's important to be pretty spelled out. And what I would like to see in this document is some sort of a definition of what recreational use is. Have a definition of unauthorized use, something like that, because there's a sentence in here which can be taken pretty literal, and I know that recreational use is implied in here, but the sentence that says only registered motor vehicles are allowed on Class 4 town highways, period, you know, that could be misconstrued. Someone could take that and be like, hey, only cars are allowed on here. So I'd like to see something spelled out that explains what recreational uses are.
Go ahead. Please identify yourself.
Steve Ray, Morristown. I don't know if it's in there, maybe I missed it, I just saw this tonight, so. But the state AOT maintains maps of all the town roads, and it might be useful to have a reference to that in the policy, because I believe that that's the standard for what roads are Class 3, what roads are Class 4, what parts of the roads are legal trails. So that's a good reference, and also if you do, talks about in the policy of changing classifications, and AOT should be notified of those changes so they're up to date with their map for the town.
Thank you, Steve.
Eric, when you apply for state aid for roads, you get a reimbursement back. You give them an inventory of all of the roads that are Class 2, 3, and 4 in your municipality. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah,
So
we do a mileage certificate every January.
Right. So if there is, to answer his question, if there is any change in those, do you automatically notify AOT so there is any update? Because it basically reflects on how much money you get back.
That's correct.
From the state. Is that correct?
We recently did that on Belanger Road here in town. It was a road that had been brought into the town fold as a Class 3 dirt road. It was accepted by a select board several years ago. Right. And we were waiting on just one property owner to grant the easement for the town in order to maintain the highway. It was a mix-up in communication. They weren't aware they hadn't done it. We were waiting on that to happen. As soon as it did, in order to accept that as a Class 3 road, I had to take all of the easements that were granted from all the property owners that abut the road and send them to the state of Vermont to show that we had achieved that in order for us to get full credit, or continue to get full credit for the formula they use for reimbursing us for highway maintenance. Right. So they had been doing it preliminarily, but we had to finish that process in order to get it official, and now they have changed it on their map.
Can I just speak to Jamie? I just pulled up, there is a really clear definition of recreational use from the Vermont legislature that addresses what you're saying, and it specifically says non-commercial. There's some important factors in here, so I'm not sure if we can, how we reference that, but it is important because it's long, I'd read it out, but it clearly defines.
Do you have the statute reference there?
Yes, it is Title 12, Court Procedure, Chapter 2203, limitations on landowner liability, but the definition is number 4. Recreational use means, and is a long.
Yeah.
Did you get it? Okay, so I can copy and send it to you. Okay.
I think I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, great.
Other comments, discussion? Steve?
Thank you. Again, I haven't had a chance to read this in detail, and this is not about the AOT. This is about the policy you've got in one place about Class 4 roads, and the select board may allow people to upgrade them on their own dime. If that permission is given, it would be a nice thing if the select board or the town administrator would notify all adjoining property owners that such work has been approved by the select board, so that they could have some input before that actually takes place.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Or the permit would be, abutting properties, is there a policy for notifying? I know certainly through the DRB, when a permit comes through, with all abutting properties are notified.
There's nothing existing. That's why we're
Okay.
where we're at. Really, what we had in there was just inadequate. It does not. Our current policy does not address private properties want to improve the Class 4 road.
Should this be something in a planning that the DRB would actually be responsible for if it's quote a permit, or it's kind of a gray area, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It currently is in our. I don't think it's in the zoning bylaws as far as requirements for upgrading a town highway. I think it's being looked to be handled in our Class 4 road policy.
In the policy, yeah.
However, the policy can certainly include what Mr. Ray has suggested here, is that if you're going to have a warned discussion about it, that the abutters are notified. We can put that in the policy without problem.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about permitting, keeping it clean as to what the process is for everyone, so that so abutters and things are notified.
I think if we make it clear in the policy that upon approval, the adjacent landowners to the Class 4 highway are notified, I think that's really the only permit process that we need to have in here. I think the more hands you have on it, the muddier it gets, the longer it takes, and it's not really brain surgery. I do think that, as Selena had mentioned, standard maintenance on a road. I guess I'd like to get Kevin's input on that. Kevin is here. Do you, on standard maintenance on a Class 4 road, if there's going to be an upgrade to a water bar or a repair of a water bar, or those kinds of things, are you sensing that you'd like to at least be informed of any work that's being done on a town road, or what's your sense?
Kevin Gross, Highway Superintendent. So in this instance, I mean, like with Selena or the other Ross Hill on Rontero, they're coming with a plan on what they want to do, with what they're going to do for upgrades. Once that's done, it's still a Class 4 road.
Right.
So my responsibility is still just culverts and bridges. They're there. I don't do any summer maintenance. I don't do any winter maintenance. Right. So any other maintenance outside of that, if there's a water bar that needs opening, I mean, I would think that would be part of their responsibilities, and it should be just allowed at that point.
Okay.
I mean, as long as there's not going to be any more anything else created to make the road different from what they requested, I guess is where I'm at. I mean, if they're requesting they're going to put in some culverts and extend water bars, well, then that's what they do. And it would be my thought that they would be responsible for maintaining that. If they want to go outside that scope, well, then they'd have to come back to the board and ask permission again.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Makes sense.
It does.
Thank you.
Maintenance is kind of a key word there, I think.
I've got a list of things here, great ideas that came out tonight. So I'm going to track down some of these. The bridges is a huge question. If the bridge that they're discussing is one of the snowmobile bridges, that's built by an all-volunteer club. That's not a town build. It's certainly not built to any specifications other than they build it to maintain the weight of their groomer that comes across it. Let me dig into the statute and see. I'm not aware that bridges are a responsibility of the town. The gentleman wants to do a log job out there. I don't know whose responsibility it is to build bridges. I know the state of Vermont on the Johnson end from French Hill up Reservoir Road has recently built some extremely sturdy bridges because they are going to log the state land from that side of the mountain. But the state did that because it's on their property. So I don't know what our responsibility is. Let me look into that. Recreation defined. The snowmobiles, I agree, can't be restricted from Class 4 road. I didn't read that in here, but I'll read it again. Obviously, I missed the word stow in the first paragraph, so let me read through that again. The AOT maps piece, confirm that. And the landowner or butter notification, that can certainly be added in here very easily for part of the application process. We can make a very simple application form that we can reference in here as well, that'd be on our website. That would kick in that butter's notification process. And then the agricultural waiver, as the logging has a waiver, then looking into the agricultural waiver as well. So, I mean, that's the checklist that I got so far. If I missed something, let me know. I'm happy to continue to edit and bring you back edits or suggestions of this document, and I'll make the edits in a color other than the black and white. So.
Okay.
We were gonna, and maybe I missed this, under logging activities, I think the suggestion was going to be logging and agricultural activities, so that it's sort of all-inclusive in that section 4.
Yeah, the only concern, this incident with Bull Moose Road has brought up the fact that the road itself is, the land on the beginning of the road is bordered on both sides by a private landowner. The Rooney property is beyond that. There was a request for permission to do some upgrades to the road, including cutting trees. My understanding was permission was given at a meeting here. That was some time ago. The work wasn't completed. So, but there were other things going on there. I don't think it was the will of the Rooneys to not do the work. There was circumstances that arose that kept it from getting done at that time. I'll bring you perhaps a couple of suggestions on that. We want to be able to make sure, again, the abutters being notified, I think may be sufficient enough to cover down on that so that everybody gets a notification that there's an upgrade being sought. The water bar maintenance, I agree with Kevin. I mean, Joe Streeter up on the Sterling area. Did I see Joe here? Hey, Joe. His been here before to tell you. I mean, he and the neighbors there do a lot of work on that Round Terrell Road and keep it maintained. So, asking the town to do that level of maintenance is really a waste of everybody's time. They've been doing it for years, and I think the intent, it services their homes. They want to keep it passable. I think the intent of having a policy is if there is a major structural change to the road being proposed, that the board would have some sort of purview, because we're left holding the bag on Class 4 roads. The state has included Class 4 roads in our Act 64 Clean Water Act work. So as long as they're holding that kind of authority over us, then I feel it's important that the board has some level of oversight for the major structural change requests.
There's a 3-rod right-of-way on Class 4s as well.
Correct.
So is the board okay with giving the administration an opportunity to revise this and bring it back at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we don't need to take any action on it at this point. Okay, I'm going to move on to approve the warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion to approve the warrants. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the warrants?
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Town administrators report.
There is a bunch of stuff going on in town, and I'm going to use this time to give a kind of a heads up. Pike is going, we are still in the current fiscal year, we still have paving money available. The target for that paving money is the finish coat on the Garfield Road. They had intended on doing that today, but Kevin, the rain, did that stop them?
It stopped.
Okay, so they are looking for the next sunny day and putting in their schedule to put that finish coat on there. They will be back to complete the resurface of the municipal parking lot. And when I say be back, their target is late May, early June. We'll get word out as quickly as we can. It's, I believe, a one-day job to resurface that parking lot. It's going to be an interruption in our downtown for sure, as we have a full parking lot there during the day. Those cars will have to be relocated for this work to be done. We'll get out the word out to the public as to when that's going to happen, and we'll have signage up indicating that the parking lot is closed. In advance of that, we've got to work with the post office as well, because that'll disrupt some of their operations during the day. They're also going to be paving the park and ride down on Bridge Street, putting a surface on that, and their projected costs and the money we'll have left in the budget will allow us to actually put a shim coat, 1-inch shim coat on Center Road from the Hyde Park Town Line down to approximately Trombley Hill area. The cost to rebuild that the way it needs to be done is far exceeds the money we have available. So we can put a shim coat down where the money's left. We'll stay in budget, and it will at least buy us a couple of years until we can get the paving money back in the budget and readdress that. I didn't spend time going over this, so I'm just going to say I'm good for now, other than that, because I can't think of what else is going on. My schedule is filling up fast. The Red Cross is coming into town next week. We're doing a walkthrough on our shelter sites. They have not had an updated memorandum of agreement with us or any of the sites since the late 90s. So we're going to do a walkthrough on the different sites. I've already started to set the schedule up for most of them and have them take a look at what's available. That way they'll build their plan and know if they requested which shelter they're going to. They know what they have to bring. If it's an overnight deal, they know to bring the cots and whatever else is there at their disposal. So it helps to organize that during the time of a response request. So we've been up at the gravel pit. We went up there. I've put a call into our surveyor to plot out the center line of the proposed haul road such that we can get contractors up there to eyeball that and understand the scope of the work. We're working with Tyler on that as well for the clearing of the overburden for the gravel vein and for the road area. We still do not have a permit. I've had conversations with Brooke, our attorney, in the last couple of weeks. They're very, very close. So hopefully, I keep using that word, we'll have a permit in hand and we can begin that process. The permit itself has requirements in there about a meeting on site to show the public what we're planning to do, talk about how we're doing it. So before we start operations, that has to happen every year, I believe. So we also have the finished reclaiming in the phase 2 area. So all of these things are kind of in the works right now, up and coming.
Great.
Do you think the municipal parking lot will be repaved after Hutchins Street building is open?
No, it'll be done before.
Before that?
Yeah, they're looking to occupy. They're going to have a they're going to have a celebration in June of the building, and they plan to start in moving people in July. This will be done before the end of June. It's got to be done in this fiscal year.
All right.
Anything you want to add about Senator Welch?
Yeah, Senator Welch came to town and took a look at the community. I think we met with his folks a couple of months ago, just talked about Morristown. They were offering to us anything that the senator could do for our community to help out. They were interested in hearing it. At that time, I talked about RCT, the ability to provide transportation in and around our village area is important. We're not big enough to be able to really support a bus service or a for-profit or a zero, whatever, nonprofit bus type thing as a municipality. So RCT is extremely important to us, and I wanted to make sure they kept continuing the support for them. And then I discussed infrastructure money, building funds and whatnot, and got some direction from them as well on that. The senator sent a thank you note, personalized it by crossing out Mr. Dodge and putting Eric in, which I appreciated. He remembered my first name. And he said, "Thank you for taking me on a tour of downtown Morrisville. I was impressed by all that the town and village have been able to accomplish, both creating a strong downtown and bringing much needed housing into the community. Morrisville residents should be proud of the work they have done. Please do not hesitate to contact my office if I can ever be of assistance to federal matters."
Thank you, Eric.
He actually arrived here on an RCT bus, so they've given him a tour of some of their routes, so it's good.
That's awesome.
The only thing I would say, you alluded to your schedule. Watch your schedule fill up now that people know that you might actually be leaving.
John?
Yes. Lee.
we live here. I'd like to ask Eric, when are you leaving now?
My intent is to be done June 30th.
Do you think that'll be enough time to train another administrator?
I think that'll be part of the hiring process, the qualifications coming in here. And certainly when I came on board, I had never been a town administrator, but I had a wealth of knowledge and a depth of knowledge for our community and the people in it and the people here in the building. That was the only reason I was able to compete at that level.
Because you were here and from here. If they have to interview a bunch of different people, I don't see how you're going to have enough time to train.
Yeah, and I can address that with the board as time goes on. We're hoping to get the advertisement out this week in the newspaper, and then run that for a few weeks. Also, there will be other sites advertised on. Paula handles that for us. The HR department looking to perhaps do selection and interviews of applicants somewhere in the first week of June, with a selection immediately following. That would give them a couple of weeks to notify an employer if they're so employed, and get them here. And I can't speak for the board, but I mean my thought process would be that they're looking for someone who, if they aren't local, perhaps, and have the history that I had, they're looking more at their qualifications as a town administrator, town manager, from wherever they're coming from. So they would know perhaps the workings of the job better than I did, but they would need help with the community, and I've offered to be a liaison there to assist with that and help them meet people and get the lay of the land. If it takes a little longer than that, I'm sure we can work something out.
Go ahead.
Jerry Throne. Regarding the paving of the municipal parking lot, isn't Soulmate applying, or haven't they already applied for making cuts in the parking lot for electrical conduit?
Yes, sir. That was done last week.
So that's completed?
It was. Marshall Waterlight oversaw the work. There was conduit already in the ground most of the way across the travel portion. They just had to extend it over to the backside and put the boxes in, the control boxes and such. But that was done last week.
Good news.
Okay, I'm going to move on to select board concerns. Travis?
Sure. I haven't had a chance yet, so I wanted to thank Jason and the rest of the PD for all their work recently, as well as all surrounding police departments. Very much appreciated. That's really all I have to say that I haven't said yet.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say an incident happened 2 weeks ago. I felt I had apologized. It seems as though some people feel like I haven't apologized, so I would like to make a formal apology for my emotional behavior. I very unjustly targeted Anna, I'm sorry. I had sent an email and apologized in public, but I just want everyone to understand and apologize to Eric. It was an emotional situation for me, and I made a statement that was not appropriate. And so I just want to make sure that anyone who was here or on Zoom, that I meant to extend an apology to all. So I just want to make that clear that it was unprofessional, and I apologize, and I can guarantee you it will never happen again, and Anna in particular. I'm very sorry for having directed you, and not in any way was it meant to be personal. Again, I'm very, very sorry about that.
Judy?
I'd like to personally apologize to you also, Anna, for the remarks that you had to endure at the select board meeting on April 19th. And I apologize that as an employee of the town, I was unable to stop the comments that were made to you. And in the future, I'll endeavor to maintain a more respectful atmosphere at our select board meetings. You're welcome.
Chris?
I was going to echo Travis's comments about events that happened a couple weekends ago. I also think it's important to let people know that not only did our police department do incredible work in conjunction to the support that they had outside of the community, but Eric spent a tremendous amount of time making sure that the select board was up to speed and privy to all the things that were happening, so that if there was additional need or desire for our assistance in any way, that he kept us in the loop. And he also made sure that all of these people that were here working, and it was a huge number, that they got fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And he reached out to the community, the stores that were still open. They offered, in some instances, to provide food and beverage to the officers at no cost. But he went around with his credit card, and he made sure that these people were taken care of in the background. And that's the kind of individual that we appreciate and we're sorry to lose. Because those are the things that he does every day that the general public does not see. And that's a huge loss.
I will be, I'll be quick. Everything that's on my list has been discussed a little bit already. Eric's resignation, I'm not going to say any more about that. I think we'll get a chance to say more later. I'm sure there'll be more comments coming up. I too would like to put out a huge shout out to the police department, to Jason, to Todd, who's also here tonight, for your leadership and all that you did for this community during a very, very trying time. Certainly, I'm sure everybody up here on the board had people reach out to them that were very concerned about what was going on. You guys did a fantastic job. And also, I don't know if appreciation is the right word, but my sentiments to Brian and what he's gone through. I don't know what to say. I've never been in that position, never been in that kind of a job. I'm sure it's very trying on him, very trying on his family, and his colleagues, the people that work beside him. I did have the occasion to go to the Duhamel pit with Eric and Kevin and Tyler Mumley, who's not here anymore, and got a chance to see where that Hall Road's going to go in, and I too am hoping that can get done pretty quickly, and I'm hoping our surveyor can get that surveyed so we can start the process of using our own gravel and sand on our roads. And lastly, we've talked about Class 4 roads. I did go up with Kevin again and members of the Grimes organization and looked at Ron Terrell and the process or the request to upgrade that road. And I'm sure that'll come back at the next meeting again, but I just want to say that there's been lots of action on Class 4 roads around town, lots of interest in Class 4 roads around town, and they are a really important resource that this town owns. And you know, I take a lot of I have a lot of respect for those people that want to use those roads, and I think they have a lot of respect for our roads as well. So I just want to say that. So, and that's all I have on select board concerns. Community concerns. And as members of the community come forward to the mic, please identify yourself and please address the chair with any concerns that you might have. Mr. Brewster, you are up first.
I just got James Brewster. Two quick comments. The first one being, I think on both sides of the table, there's too much apologizing going on. We shouldn't have. We're acting in ways that are eliciting an apology, and we can do better on both sides. My second comment is about the budget. I was on the fence about the budget, and it was the patrol officer position that had me on the fence. And I called up Jason today, or last week, spoke to Jason today. He answered all of my questions, And not that anybody cares, but I'm going to tell you that I'm going to support the budget, and I'm going to vote for it.
Thank you, Jamie. Anybody on Zoom? Anybody in the audience? Go ahead, Jason.
Jason Luna, the police chief. I want to echo kind of what Chris mentioned. So we had a large contingent of police officers in town for about 72 hours. These folks had zero notice that they were coming to town, or very little notice, so they don't pack lunch or that stuff. Eric called me Friday morning and said, "Hey, what do you need?" I said, "We need some food and drinks." And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day long, Eric went and got us food, water, and he even helped bring it to different sites throughout the town. So something he didn't have to do. It was really appreciated by everybody at PD and the surrounding agencies. So,
Thanks, Jason.
And we would like to see our new canine officer one of these days.
Promise to get wins.
yes.
We can do it next week or next board meeting.
Awesome.
Thanks. Any other comments? Yes, go ahead.
Just a short comment regarding, Evelyn Throne, Morristown. Thank you. Regarding the 72-hour incident. I really appreciate, I wasn't here that weekend. In some ways that's good because I don't have the stuff seared into my brain and I can walk around like I saw it, didn't see it, it didn't happen, but it did. And I'm really grateful that it was resolved peacefully, because it's both about the troubled person who began it and the police who are trained, and they obviously used their training at some point, so that didn't escalate, and also that the town people didn't escalate it, and as far as I know, in any particular way. And I'm just grateful that it turned out as, and unfortunately a police officer was hurt and there was trauma involved, but it didn't get worse. So thank everybody for that situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a hand up there? Stacy F?
I think it's the,
No, that's the mouse.
the mouse.
Oh, it's the mouse? Okay.
The hand is
Any other comments before we go to other business? Okay, I'm going to move on to other business. Do we have a motion? Oh, you certainly can.
Sarah Haskins, Town Clerk and Treasurer. Two quick things. First, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank everybody for the election. I know it was 2 weeks ago and now we're moving on to a new election, but I just wanted to thank the voters, the community. It was more than double our usual participation. We weren't able to use the site that we usually use. And I just want to thank everybody who was involved, the BCA, volunteers, select board, and our voters for their patience for the space that we had to use. And the second thing is it's International Municipal Clerks Week this week, so I wanted to use this opportunity to thank Mitzi Fleming and Elizabeth Chase. They are two amazing assistant town clerks that we have. They are the first people that when you come into the office, you see their smiling face, they're answering the phone. They are doing so much behind the scenes that they don't often get recognized for it. So I am still very emotional about Eric, so I'm having a hard time to speak, but I just wanted to thank them.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you. Sarah, thank you for your leadership in running that election as well as it ran. That involved a lot of logistics, I know, on your part. You did a great job, pulling the BCA together and getting that done as well as it got done. Any other business? Okay, I will entertain any motions.
Who's reading it?
Chris?
We have some executive session business that the select board needs to conduct, so we have 4 motions. The first, we move to go into executive session to find that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
So the second motion I'd like to make is I move to go into executive session to discuss the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee subject to T1 VSA, section 313A3, to include Town Administrator Eric Dodge, Human Resources Director Paul Beatty, Recreation Coordinator Ann McCormick, and Ron Stancliffe, as well as Jason Monroe. We would meet with them individually.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a third motion?
Third motion, I move to go into executive session to find the premature general public knowledge of pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be party will clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage by exposing its negotiation strategy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And lastly, we move to go into executive session to discuss the pending or probable litigation and prosecution under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of Vermont statutes to include Town Administrator Eric Dodge.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry, may we take a quick break?
Take a quick break, and Jason should be
please.
back in here.
I drank a lot of water during that session.
Eric, would you like to do these in a particular order?
Yes, please. If we could start with Ron, that would be appreciated.